So hi, Welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
And I'm Tanner from Kingsmen.
And we're asking some questions to say about their new album, Bones Don't Lie. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
Great. We're loving it, man. Loving it.
Hell yeah. I mean, the album fucking rocks. The closer on the record, Diamondized, I think that's how you pronounce it, is like the first song I heard. And typically when I'm picking, like going through the bands that we may or may not have on the show, like I only listen to a little bit of the song to like get a vibe, and then like I'll listen to the record once it's booked. But I accidentally listened through this entire song because it was so fucking good. I love it.
That's awesome, man.
I'm loving the record.
I love to hear it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so fun fact, that's actually the first song we wrote.
Oh wow.
For the record,
shit.
which yeah. So we kind of went in there hot and heavy.
Absolutely.
For sure. My God. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yeah, so like, it was like crazy because everyone went through the same thing, right, with COVID and everything like that, and how like the world just like dramatically changed. But I think during that change, we all kind of came to the realization that, we really feel like you kind of learned more about yourself through COVID. You know what I mean? And so I've always heard like the phrase in a negative term being like, oh, like what are the skeletons hiding in your closet? And we kind of just like turned it into this whole thing where it's just like whatever's in that closet, like those don't lie. Like that's who you are. You know what I mean? So we basically took that phrasing and kind of coined it. And that's kind of where it originates from. It's just about like, like revealing your true self. The lyrics are very much me revealing my true self through the music and like some of the pain and heartache that I've gone through and some of like the darker parts and the best parts of life, But yeah, that's the Bones Don't Lie anyways. That's what that term comes from. Diamond is how, the whole time you're through this phase of discovery, you really are a diamond in the rough, right? So like you're learning a lot about yourself, you're becoming your true self, your true potential. So that's kind of what Diamondize is about, is how it's like that ain't easy, right? So we decided, let's bring this song that's super heavy and just like driving to show you that like change and like especially like being the best part of yourself is not an easy thing.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Yeah, so this one was fun. We did a couple of songs in December of 2020. We went down to Pennsylvania, recorded with our friends Ricky Armelino and KJ.
Nice.
We did Trial by Fire and Memory, where like really the first songs that we had for the record. We weren't sure we were going to do. We were thinking EP, but then we just did these to kind of like test out a flavor. Before this record, we've always written a ton of material and gone to the studio and been like, all right, like now let's like sift through the stuff and find the diamonds in the rough, right, or whatever. And so we'd go in with like, if we were doing like an EP, we'd go in with at least 20, 25 songs. If we were doing an album, we'd go in with like 30, 40, and we just, and then we just start ripping things apart. And, with our process, we just love being dynamic. Like we all come from very diverse backgrounds in music. Like I started out in like opera and blues, like when I was very young. And so that's where my projection comes from. But we're all very diverse and we always want to just kind of like, teeter totter and dip our toes into this, that, and the other. So after we realized that, like Memory and Trial by Fire, we felt like we found this kind of melodic, but also like aggressive feel in between it all. We were like, well, let's do a little bit more of that, but let's also like bring it back to the roots of like things that really, we really enjoy in the heavier sense, hence songs like Diamond Eyes, Bitter Half, Bones Don't Lie, and stuff like that. So then we actually went out to Los Angeles. We didn't have a single song written, and we wrote the other 8 songs. And we did that in a month time in June of 2021 with KJ and Zach Jones. And that was a fantastic time. It was a once in a lifetime experience for us. I mean, we're all guys from Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So, it's it's kind of plain Jane out here, but being in LA for a whole month was a great experience. And it was very inspiring, being out there and meeting and seeing a lot of people that just are, heavy hitters in their own right, in their own industries. So, it was really cool.
It's crazy that like you guys kind of went from having 30 songs for a record, like, when we're talking past work, to just being like, we've got these 2 songs done, let's go to LA and write the other 8. Like, what was like, was that experience nerve wracking for you guys? Like, we're going to go finish this record, but we have nothing written.
Absolutely. So like it was kind of interesting because our producers were like they have their own methods, right? Their mysterious methods of songwriting and stuff. And so like we had several Zoom calls, and in every Zoom call, like, as you can see, I have my own studio here. Tim has his own studio, his house. Like we're very active creators and writers and all different aspects. But so we're always just like, what can we do to just push this process along? And they're like, trust the process. Let's just do it together. It's going to be a fun time. And like, we're going to show you like style. And we're like, okay, so we just kind of sat on our hands and we were like, all right, I guess we're waiting a couple of months. And, for me, it was kind of interesting. On a side note, like I kind of knew that we were going, to LA for June, and my girlfriend and I were like, we hadn't gone on a vacation since prior to COVID, and this is in 2021. So we were like, let's go visit our cousin. So I actually did 2 weeks in Arizona and then went right to LA and recorded the record. So
goddamn.
Just
Shit.
the Grand Canyon. I kayaked down the Colorado River. I did a lot of crazy life experiences that I'm just like, okay, and now let's write a record. Yeah. So I was like, let's full send. Like, let's just see what this vibe is like. I'm very interested in it. And it was nerve wracking till we got there. Like right when we got there, day one, and Diamond Eyes happened. Like Diamond Eyes happened almost like that, and it was just like, okay, so this is gonna be fun,
Absolutely. Oh my god. Okay. So what song off this album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Oh, that's which one was the longest to write and which one was a personal favorite? I would say that's a good question. I would say probably Catalyst might have been, I don't want to say that was like the longest to write, but it was like the longest that we wrote a lot of it, and then we stopped, and then we like did a little bit more to it, and then we stopped. And like it wasn't that like we weren't like, what are we going to do with this song? It was more just like, sometimes when we were in the studio, we would work on a song for like a couple hours and then just be like, all right, like the vibe is done for that song for the day. We've all exhausted all of the fun out of the track. Let's move on to another one, and then like, jump on that tomorrow or whatever. Catalyst had that happen to it a lot. It was very weird. Oh. But like I would say that one definitely took longer to come together by the end of the process. Favorite song, man, it's like, again, back to the diverse thing, like we have like this very like weird way of trying to just dabble into so much stuff. So it's tough for me to sometimes say like this one's my favorite, because I know we have kind of like a stretch in sound. But I'm a big fan of Bones Don't Lie, because my roots as far as metal goes is like industrial stuff, you know what I mean? Rammstein, Korn, like that whole era, Disturbed and all that. I love vocalists that can really be very dynamic with their vocals. I just admire that, always have since a young age. But yeah, I'd probably say like Catalyst took the longest. I'd say my favorite is got to be a toss-up between Bones Don't Lie and Trial by Fire.
Nice.
Sounds good. So okay, so for your writing process, you just said you guys in the studio, you kind of exhaust all the fun out of writing a song, and then you kind of pick it up another day. When you're picking up a song for like the second time, kind of revisiting it in the studio, how do you not kind of, I guess, keep that momentum going for that song? How do you not just kind of like completely redo it because you're kind of listening to it again with new ears?
That's a good, so fun might have been the wrong word. I think a better word would have been like, it's like writing a song can kind of be like riding a roller coaster, right? And sometimes like the beginning of the roller coaster has the biggest drop. So now you're just kind of like burning that off for a while until the thing ends, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the concept, I think, behind it. It was more like, all right, like right when you walk into or get into the studio and you work on this song right away, you're climbing. You always hit that one thing that's just like fantastic. This is amazing. Yeah. And then you're riding that. And like sometimes the roller coaster keeps going up and down really high. And sometimes it's not, for instance, like Memory was written in like one full day. Like that song was just like boom, boom, boom. We did that. There was no revisiting it. It was kind of just like, this is what it is. And we're not going to touch it because it just kind of came together the way it did. But most of the songs, it was like, okay, like let's make sure we're getting the best thrill out of this for us. And I think because of that, when we'd go in the next day, it was like we were looking forward to that like really, really like excited, bright feeling of like, okay, yes, like remember yesterday when we were just in the mode. And like I think something that's happened and happens to a lot of writers is that like when they start writing a song, you hit that point of like that high where all of a sudden, okay, now the roller coaster is coming down and we're just going and doing whatever. And sometimes if you lose focus, the track doesn't come out as well, right? But if you know that you pulled yourself out of it before you got to that stale point, now like I feel like on a subconscious level, you're just ready to like try and find that like high point, that good point in the song again. So I think that's how we kind of carried that forward. I've never really even given it much thought, but I'll tell you, I felt like as a creator, and again, this was like a new experience for me. I never really used to do that until this record. But even now in the stuff that like, you know, we still have coming out because we have plans and whatever, you know, but it's been a therapeutic thing, I think, to practice in the writing process.
Absolutely.
So how did the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener to the opener, closer to be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
It was more like a little bit of a shuffle, and we had like an idea, like as the song would, you know, be finalized, we're like, okay, this is definitely going towards this part of the record and that part of the record. And then, you know, it was time to kind of sit down and be like, all right, lyrically, can we at least guide the listener through something from start to finish? And then that's how we kind of, you know, ended on the order that we had.
Makes sense.
Gotcha. All right. So would you be able to tell us where Headspace was at while you were creating this record?
Very interesting. You know, again, like I was definitely personally in a very interesting spot because, you know, I love exploring nature, all that stuff. You know, I come from the Northeast, so, you know, that's our vibe up here. And I'm definitely one of those guys. Yeah, so like going out to Arizona and like just, you know, that's an experience. I don't know if you guys ever explored the Grand Canyon or any of that area, deserty area, but it's like you're on Mars. And I had never experienced anything like that before. So I was like, this is just, it was like an otherworldly experience. And then going into Los Angeles, and not for nothing, the truth to it is we stayed at a Motel 6 right off Hollywood Boulevard. And at the time, I mean, I don't know how it is now, but it was pretty bad. I mean, like you'd walk out of the Motel 6 and it would be like a whiff of some bad smell. And you're like, oh God. And then you'd like go up a Hollywood hill and all of a sudden it's just the cleanest air ever. Very interesting Hollywood experience, especially like writing music. You know, at the time I was running, every morning I'd wake up, smell this smell. We were next to a sober house. I would talk to a couple of sober house people and then go for my run and then go in the studio after that. So it was like, let's explore some soul searching stuff in the middle of the red desert and then go to Los Angeles and live in an area where it's like not the best area. And then you're going to record in a really cool spot every day and then coming back to that area. It was a very interesting dynamic. I think it definitely made the juices, you know, flow because it was just an interesting experience.
I mean, you're going from three different, like completely different areas, as you said, kind of like a Mars experience to then not the best spot in Hollywood to then the top spot in Hollywood. That must have been just a roller coaster of, I don't know, just emotions and headspace and wow, goddamn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
That's crazy.
God.
Yeah.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should do it in the car with friends, in dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
First time, I think alone. Headphones, get in your zone. But there are definitely some workout songs in there.
Absolutely.
And there are also some rainy day songs in there. You know what I mean? Where we're all in the dumps. So, you know, being in the dumps, good song to listen to is Trial by Fire. I feel like that just, you know, brings you, picks you up. You know what I mean? If you want to go rage in the gym, a little bit of Bones Don't Lie. Diamond Eyes is obviously a great one. I have a lot of people that I've seen retweeting and restreaming that and stuff. It's pretty funny. You know, that song was written with that aggression that we kind of felt like it was like, yes, you would be in the gym. You'd be giant hammer onto something or something like that. Yeah.
Perfect. So this one should be super, super quick off top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Industrial, melodic, dark.
That's good. Oh, hell yeah.
Perfect.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
You know, embrace the good part of yourself, but embrace the bad part of yourself because they're trying to talk to one another and make you a better person. So when you're listening to this record, think about that.
That's deep as shit.
That's crazy.
That's some introspective shit, man.
Hey, man. That's what I'm about, baby.
Love it. Love it.
I love it. So are you able to talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments from the creation of this album, positive or negative?
I would say, I'll give you a moment. Just let me take a sip of water and think on that one.
Of course.
Challenging, or what was it? Challenging or what?
Just challenging or standout. Yeah.
Positive
Standout
or negative.
I would say, really, Trial by Fire had a very unique thing happen to it. I don't even care. I'll call him out. I tell people this story. It's funny, man. My buddy KJ, one of the guys who was the producers on our record, the first time meeting him, he came in at like a red eye flight. And so he was very tired, and we already had gotten to the studio, I think, the day before. So we were kind of well rested and stuff. He came in, I think, late at night. And man, that guy is a devoted worker. He basically just kind of like, I don't know what exactly he was doing, but he went into the studio because it was late, and we all were kind of like, well, we're going to sleep. And he's like, I guess I'm writing. And he just went to town from like midnight to 9 a.m. Didn't stop. I heard him because I was sleeping next to the studio where he was working. And so I woke up and I walk into the studio, and it's just him and I, and he looks at me and goes, the singer's here. And I was like, hello. And like, he didn't say many words to us when he came here. He kind of just like greeted us all when we first met him. He like shook our hands and he was like, nice to meet you. And then he just started setting up his stuff, and we just kind of let him do his thing because he works on a lot of different projects, you know. So I think he was doing other stuff, but him and I just kind of sat and talked, and you know, he was asking about deep experiences and what we're going to write about. And Tim came in the room, and you know, they both had guitars in their hands, and the next thing you know, Trial by Fire was written. And it was crazy because the day before KJ came, we had explored Gettysburg, and we walked the whole battleground and read like every piece of history that we could find. And you know, if you guys remember, in 2020, craziness, right, with political stuff going on. So it was really interesting experience because I was like, man, like I'm just such like a peace, love, and positivity person. Like I look like a Viking, but I'm just a big bear. I just want to hug everyone, and I want everyone to get along. You know what I mean? And like, I just really felt very attached to that concept because we had just spent like an entire day walking miles around this battleground and just learning so much about like, you know, what's happened in the past with diversity and how we've come together and became stronger, you know, at points. And so it's just, I was like, I want to write about that. You know, I want to make sure that we're touching on that because I think, you know, a lot of people have a lot of love in this world, but I think people don't know how to communicate it the right way a lot of the times. And that's what's so sad. You know, and I think a lot of the things that are hateful in this world are just misdirected and misunderstood. Like people themselves misunderstand why they're so hateful, right? And so they just can't figure it out. It's such a sad fucking thing. Oop. Sorry, pardon the French.
Fucking curse it up, man.
Let it go. Yeah.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Oh, my snack of choice.
Yeah.
Oh man. So lately it's been these, I don't know what they're called. It's a purple package, and they're like roasted almonds, dark cherries, and little like apple bits. And they're in like a purple package.
Sounds crazy.
I think they're called like Sahara or something, but I'll tell you, they're like the most delicious, like healthy snack at a gas station. I mean, and they've been popping up all over the place now, which is weird. You don't see many healthy, like actually healthy snacks at gas stations, but these ones have been popping up all over the place. I don't know what they're called. They're a purple package, and they have all those ingredients, and they're fantastic.
That sounds scrumptious, man.
Yeah.
Jen, that
it
sounds
really
amazing.
It really is.
So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Tacos. And tacos because once upon a time, Tim and I were going to open a food truck. Still might happen. I don't know. We'll see where the tide kind of takes us.
Awesome.
He was a chef. I was a chef. We've done a lot of stuff. And when we were on the road, actually, for quite a few of the runs we've done, we actually always bring a flat top. And we're notorious with the bands that we're with to cook both tacos and loaded tater tots on those flat tops. So we're big taco tater tot people.
That's one way. Like your booking agent can just be like, "Oh, you don't want the tour? The band cooks for you."
Yeah. Oh, we kill it, man. I'm telling you. Tim and I get in that, give us a little bit of Jack Daniels, and you're all set all night, guys. Like we'll be chefing it up real time.
Yeah, you just take the catering
awesome.
budget from the venue. You're cooking it up tonight.
Exactly, you're set.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row,
Okay.
what would your last meal be with a drink?
If I was on death row, what would my last meal be with a drink?
Mhm.
Oh man. Dude, I mean, I'm not kidding. It'd probably be some sort of taco and tequila. Like, all right, I'll tell you, I'm not the biggest drinker. I really am not. On tour, I'm notorious to have a drink before I go on stage. Gets rid of the jitters, right?
Yeah.
Aside from that, I'm kind of more of I'm a literal bear. I will sleep for 10 to 12 hours a day if the guys let me.
Yeah.
And but point is I would either say it'd probably be a taco and some sort of tequila drink, like whether it's a margarita or like an El Diablo. I don't know if you ever had El Diablo, but it's like it's a very autumny kind of drink. It's like it has like something apple in it and tequila. It's very good. It's like refresh. It's almost like what's that stuff you have around Thanksgiving and
Apple cider?
Christmas? Not apple cider, but like the fizzier one is a sparkling cider. It's almost like that, but on an alcoholic level.
Ooh,
That sounds baller.
Yeah.
sounds nice.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
All right.
So I want to specify, when you say taco, are we talking like soft taco with like pulled pork? Like what kind of taco is your taco?
Well, my claim to fame amongst my friend group is my carnitas. I do a very good smoked carnitas. I do it like kind of almost true to like the original way carnitas is supposed to be cooked with frying and everything, but I smoke it as well. Probably carnitas, a carnitas with a nice pineapple slaw and a lime crema on like a Hawaiian tortilla roll, sweet Hawaiian tortilla. I make little sweet Hawaiian tortilla. It's just
what?
Yeah. You ain't had a taco until you had that. I'll tell you that much, or at least a fancy taco.
Whoa,
Sounds like Gloria's inviting herself to the next tour.
Holy shit! Yeah. Oh my god!
I'm telling you, listen. If we really do this food truck thing, which him and I have been tossing up back and forth a lot because it's tough, just between family life and like regular work life and band life, and then wanting to do something like that. But we would absolutely dominate the food truck game. I am absolutely positive.
Absolutely, bro. I am hungry right now. Just what you described to me, I will be first in line, guaranteed. If you guys do a food truck, holy shit. Okay,
well, I'll definitely let you know if it happens. I will.
Thank you. Oh my god. So for this question, I want to know, if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Oh, Dungeons and Dragons, baby. I'd be somewhere in a D&D universe. Whether it's I'm a long time DM. I'm a big time DM for life. I love D&D. It definitely would be somewhere in one of those realms. I'd be doing something cool. Fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the movie? I don't know much about Dungeons and Dragons. Is it good? Did they do it justice?
Yeah, they did. If you listen, it's funny because as I was in the theater, I went opening day because I'm that dedicated.
I love it.
but I was like, all right, so it's one of those ones where if you don't play D&D, you're gonna laugh at things and you're gonna notice that people are laughing probably harder than you at things that you're not laughing at, because there's a lot of moments where it's like, as a D&D player, you will be like, oh my God, I can't believe they just got away with that. But then there's other moments where it's just like, it's for the general audience, right?
Yeah.
Really good film though. Very good film. The acting was superb. Everything was true to the book. It was really, really, really well done.
I'm very happy to hear that. I got to see it now. Gotta see it.
So I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Green. I got a green truck. Green Yeti. I actually just got the other day.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
Green hat.
Green hat. Exactly. I love it.
All right.
Perfect.
So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
No, man. Thank you very much. I mean, hey, listen, if you guys haven't had a chance, stream our new record, Bones Don't Lie. It's available everywhere. Again, I'm Tanner from Kingsmen. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate you guys for doing this. And yeah, man, stay in touch.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you for now. That's been Tanner from Kingsmen, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.